Welcome back to the Word Traction Network. This is Feeling You Without Being You. I was struck by a conversation that Abdul Al Sayed was having with a leading member of the African American community in Michigan. And just talking about how oftentimes Muslim Arabs might marginalize members of the black community in their stores. The racism runs across color lines and ethnic, religious, and everything else. It also put me in mind of Kamala Harris and making the decision, the fateful decision perhaps, to not allow a speaker on Gaza during her campaign, which it's difficult to quantify exactly what the impact was because, well, breaking news, this just in. Polls these days are fucking shit. Their polling is under tremendous pressure, just as some major networks are adding commentators to their platforms to talk more about polling. Might be a good idea to fix polling before you postulate focus groups. It's a different thing, but of course the math is changing. That which undergirds the integrity of that entire process is uh, is in a troubling place right now. But you might say, well, my experience growing up black and Muslim in northern Massachusetts, you might think is somewhat limited, and you'd be correct. But what rings true and is blinking red right now, as Trump had another victory at the Supreme Court, they've refused to take the issue itself on because they suggested perhaps it wasn't right with pending litigation. But the mail-in ballot, they ain't they're not done in any way, shape, or form trying to steal the election. So my only comment on this subject more generally to Abdul Al Sayed and the nice gentleman he was speaking to is let's unite against the known enemy, the real enemy, the existential enemy, and the enemy in all cases. Enemy is a harsh word because some would say, like the Fox flunkies that get all up in their panties with when um, when anybody makes suggestions about Ms. Harp. And it's like, wow, the Democratic, what the comments by the Democrat Party, it's out of bounds to suggest that there's an improper relationship going on with Donald J. Trump, 2.5 times divorced, and best friend of Jeffrey Epstein, that the same guy. So spare me the manufactured outrage there, kids, but say that use that same energy to continue lying to your base as you do on Fox every single day. I'm just one guy saying, hey, you got conflict with the Asian community, the cracker community, the Latinos in South Florida, the Cuban and Venezuelan folks that in South Florida that vote reliably Republican. You could reasonably argue against their best interest because they don't view themselves as people that are under pressure because they're wealthy and they can overlook the plight of their own brothers and sisters in exchange for wealth, comfort, and influence. So doesn't that read just like the Bible? Congratulations. I would ask that between now and the finish line, which is getting real close, is make coalition with all people under the same sort of pressure, and that's the vast majority of the American public right now, being arrested, silenced, and they're stealing your fucking wallet every single day. So let's find coalition with our neighbors. Agree to disagree on some issues and agree to perhaps to genuinely promise to table certain discussions until after the election, because then 28's coming right back. So if there are false prophets out there, even amongst the DSA and the Democratic Party proper, sure there are. There's plenty of them. There are plenty of Ms. Tandon and others in the Democratic Party, Mr. Jeffries, which I heard on what was it, the damn diaries yesterday. Rem- uh, they brought back one of the great monikers for Hakeem Jeffries, which was which was oh right, uh, APAC Shakur, APAC Shakur, which again we're at the uh, Mr. Tupac's trial. Tupac, the trial against the men that ordered the killing of Tupac is underway right now, and more importantly, perhaps for us selfishly in the short term, is that the leadership of our party, the feckless leadership of the Democratic Party, is aligning themselves with Republican interests, with AIPAC, against the genuine interest of the vast majority of the Democratic Party. They are aligning themselves with tech bros and AIPAC and just taking the money to hold on to power while eroding the influence we have in the party, the genuine influence that we've built up, and the good faith. The fight about, is the DSA too far to the left? That'll work itself out. But we're not a party any longer if we're silencing good faith discussions even amongst ourselves. But the enemy is clear. The enemy puts a new target on their own back every single day to make it easy to find them in a crowd. So stand up, and if you have a difference with a marginalized community, and well, let me leave you with this last thing, which was delightful. I also posted on this earlier today that Ms. Cloud of the WNBA was commenting on the new trend of dildos and vibrators, perhaps, being thrown onto the floor at WNBA games. And as Ms. Cloud quite correctly pointed out, the people that are doing this, whether they be MAGA or MAGA girl dads or MAGA otherwise, is that she made a wonderful observation that probably all that says is that you're gay, which is not a slur, but if you're in and amongst a marginalized community, take ownership for where your heart is, and you'll have a lot less stress in your life because you don't need to go and see a shrink any longer, and you don't need to hide yourself. So get outside, and don't put that in your don't you, sir, taking your daughter to a WNBA game. Don't put the dildo in your purse. Carry it proudly. And as Ms. Cloud also pointed out, from a color coordination point of view, match your color. So if you're a white boy, get a white dildo. You don't need green. It stands out. And, if you're smuggling it in, what's security going to think if you're carrying alien dildos around? They will think even less of you than they already do, which is pretty fucking bad. So thank you. And wishing you all a beautiful day, all of that positivity and light. And love your neighbor. And even if you can't agree with your neighbor, make coalition with them to get over the finish line, and then we can continue fighting amongst ourselves after the midterms. But it's getting desperate, and the fascists are marching and excluding more of us every single day, and we're getting right down to it. So let's see. So next week will be September. We're going to hit the 60-day mark pretty soon after and along with the holiday. So be well, take care of each other, and we'll be back with you sometime, perhaps without sexual aids or disparaging comments about marginalized groups like crackers tomorrow. So thank you, and have a beautiful day.